people still plan and buy YouTube ads like it's television. And it's not. A few students told me, look, the hardest part is not doing the campaign, it's actually understanding the client. AI, ChatGPT, for example, it's a better teacher than most of the traditional teachers because he has more knowledge, right? So the role of the teacher changed. And with that, the role of the student changed.
Welcome to the podcast, and thank you so much for coming down to see us.
Hi, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Oh no, it's really cool. So we're going to be talking about your role at Lipton. So head of e-commerce media for Europe, which is a really cool role. Also, we're going to talk about the work you do at university in Milan.
Yeah.
And your kind of big thing for education. Generally, the topic for this episode is going to be about how should the media or e-commerce or digital marketing industry be developing talent. Looking forward to diving in. But before we get kind of into the detail on that, do you want to go through, who are you? What have you been doing? Give us a little overview on your background.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Giovanni. As you can tell from my British accent, I'm from Italy, but I actually been living in London for 7 years now. Started my career agency side, so I've been working for, IPG media brand, PhD media, and then I moved client side, aka the dark side. People call it, the dark side. So here I am at Lipton, where I currently lead e-com media for Europe, which means I help Lipton sell more tea online. This is my first life, I would say. Then I got a second life, which is universities. So I've been teaching at Polytechnic of Milan for 2 years now. So I teach digital media planning, reporting, and activation. So it's like 3 separate courses. And it's kind of, following the full process, right? From media planning to activation to reporting. And it's a full circle, right? So it's interesting to see how students, then are able to link the dots. And then I got my third life, which is my YouTube.
Third?
Yeah. I'm immortal. My third life. So I have a YouTube channel. It's called A Glass of Marketing with Joe, where essentially I put my two passions together, right? Wine and marketing. So I drink a glass of wine with industry leaders talking about, marketing, personal and professional growth as well. Yeah.
That sounds amazing. What came first? Your interest or passion in e-commerce and media and digital, or your passion for education?
Education came after, just because when I was agency side at some point, I was kind of responsible for the induction of new entries. So, all the students coming from uni, they needed to have, an induction section. And I was kind of taking care of it. So I was walking them through Google Ads, so paid search, paid social, video, display. And I really loved it. This is one thing. The other thing is that I realized that the first moment I joined the agency in London, which was Reprise Media, I realized that everything I studied in my 5 years of university was almost useless. And, of course, you need to understand all of these things like perceptions, the customer journey, the marketing funnel. But at the end of the day, I was like, but now how do I use all of these platforms, right? So then the way I learned was stealing from the others. So kind of being in the office and exchanging thoughts. And then reading online, different, blogs like Search Engine Journal, SEMrush, and etc.
You think about a traditional 3-year degree, and I think now about what we were running 3 years ago successfully. It's a different world. It's a completely different job.
Yeah.
So how on earth do you write a traditional 3-year course that keeps up? Because a year into it and it's probably already out of date. It's mad. As an educational point, do you think agencies, I've always thought agencies are a great place to learn your craft, because you work with lots of different brands, different scenarios, different channels, lots going on. What's your take on that?
Yeah, no, it's a great point. I always say that the difference between agency side and client side is that agency side is more like playing tennis, right? So you always defend, where client side is more like playing chess. And yeah, I totally agree with you. I feel like everyone should start agency side because you learn how to actually do things. You don't just do PowerPoints. But at the same time, I feel you know what it means to be on the other side. So when you move client side, you know how to do things, so then you can better explain the agency and you can better brief the agency how to do things. But at the same time, you're also more respectful, because I feel like when you've been on the other side, you know how it works, you know the stress, and you actually become a nicer client.
Can we talk just a little bit about your role at Lipton and what your team looks like and how you've developed that team out?
My role is a weird one, because I lead paid media e-com for Europe, but actually my team is within the agency. So it's like an hybrid in-housing outsourcing models. And I'm the middleman between the local market. So each market has, a brand manager that has more like the market visibility in terms of like products, new promos, creative development, and so they have a business objective, and I help them translate the business objective in media. I usually say agencies make money out of the knowledge gap between the client and the agency, which means that, the client doesn't really know how to activate things on Google. So sometimes it's good because you can take more time. You can do things that take 1 hour and tell the client takes a week. But at the same time, it's bad because the client doesn't know what they want, so they don't understand the challenges you have when activating campaigns. So they might ask you last minute to change something, and they don't know that these things will affect the performance, will affect the timing, and etc.
A good agency and an honest agency, that's a very genuine area to step in and help. Like I'm sure you've found this both sides of the coin really, but we get a lot of inquiries, or we talk to a lot of brands who, they need to ramp up really quickly. They don't have the time to recruit a team in-house to build it. And the most logical option there is to hire an agency that they can trust to scale that activity up.
Yeah, I feel like that there is something even worse than having a bad agency, which is having a bad client. Because when you have someone that is not able to lead the agency, right? So the client doesn't know what they want, or even worse, they actually don't kind of understand what the agency is doing. So they are not able to drive the agency, and they don't trust the agency because they want to do it their way. That I think is dangerous, because you find a lot of people that they want to do it their way. Like, I give you an example. People still plan and buy YouTube ads like it's television, and it's not.
So let's talk about your second life and your, well, not double life, your treble life. Let's talk about the second one, right? So you work at the University of Milan. So tell us a little bit about what you do there.
Yeah, I teach this master. It's called International Marketing Management. So it's in English. It's students from all around the world, which is pretty cool because, I think as a marketing manager, my responsibility is also to be in touch with the society and talk to the new generation, because they're smarter than us, right? They use smartphones faster than us. They have a different view. Like, for example, I'm not a big user of TikTok, but the new generation is using it, right? So you need to get closer to that.
So when let's say you're teaching a classroom, a bunch of students, and they come in on day one, all green-eyed, excited to learn about digital marketing, and then fast forward to the end of the course and they leave and they've done all the practice and they're done. Are there any common trends in terms of challenges or preconceived ideas of what they're going to be doing that you almost have to break down? Like, what are the common trends and challenges within teaching?
I think two things. One, which is a funny one, I split my students in groups and I try to find a real client at the end of the course, and they practice like they are an agency. Few students told me, look, the hardest part is not doing the campaign, it's actually understanding the client, sending emails, understanding the client and actually matching his expectation. I think the other thing, and I think this is the new skill that everyone needs to have today, is not just about being able to get information, because, I think the role of university changed, right? Because we are in an information technology society, you get anything by just Googling it. So less timing and more information. So, and then AI now. So AI, I mean, you don't even have to search for it. You just need to ask, right? AI, ChatGPT, for example, it's a better teacher than most of the traditional teachers because he has more knowledge, right? So the role of the teacher changed. And with that, the role of the student changed. My planning course, I ask my students, first of all, let's plan the campaign together. I show them the traditional way to plan a campaign. So response to brief. And then at the end of the course, I tell them, by the way, now let's do the same thing using ChatGPT. And the same thing that took them, I don't know, like a week to do. ChatGPT, if you're able to prompt it in the right way, so another skill is prompting, it takes like 10 minutes. So in some ways, I feel like these platforms are trying to make the job easier. In some ways, they're trying to kill the agencies, right? Because if you think about it, all the money you spend in agencies' fees, you can actually spend it on the platforms.
So if we go back to Lipton, what was it that made you pick that hybrid structure? I'm really interested in this. So you've got your, I guess, like your strategic guidance in your role.
Yeah.
And then you've got your agency supporting with the execution. First off, what made you go with that? Second off, do you feel it's working well?
It's a good trade-off between quality and quantity because, of course, having a team of 8 people working agency side, it costs less than hiring 8 people in-house, right? Then also you have these people that are continuously trained because they also work on other clients. So there is a share of knowledge that you don't have client side. So, you eventually you get higher quality if you're able to guide them in the right way. So going back to your second question, I'm satisfied with that because I feel like if you give them the right guidance, I think they actually pretty good in doing it. I try to don't put it in a way that I'm the client and they are the agency, but like we all working together. The ways of working really changed, right? When were people working online, you don't go to the office. In the past, you had to make someone sitting down for 8 hours and they had to work at some point, right? Because you look at them all the time, you know what they're doing at their screen, so they have to work. So the productivity in some ways was higher because they bored, they need to work. Where today, because people can work from home, you never know what they're doing, right? So my way is that I give you a task, I set up a time frame, and I know how long it takes because I've done it, right?
Yeah.
And then it's up to you. So if you want to work full time in a day and then spend the other day doing some other stuff, for me it's fine. But just managing the expectation, I think, is key.
What would your advice be for someone who's in your position and they're considering a different approach to building out and resourcing their team with a knowledge gap in place? And they're worried about, how long is it going to take to find people and hire people in-house? What about picking the right agency? And what you're describing there about the setup that you've got is, I took from that like a massive degree of trust and a very strong relationship. So then how do you go and find an agency that you can build that with?
Yeah.
What's your advice? Because there must be I imagine there's people listening to this who are struggling with that scenario.
My suggestion is study, because this is a world where probably 80% of people repeat what they heard from other people, but they never done it. You can tell who knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, big time.
So you can tell when you get in a meeting room, if people have been using platforms, if people have been studying those platforms. So I'm sorry because it's stressful. I mean, I know. I mean, you finish university and you feel like, okay, now I got the job. Finally, I can stop. I can quit studying and I can just get this job.
Get on with life.
And exactly, enjoy my life, right? Which is not the case anymore. Like you need to keep studying because those platforms are becoming smarter than us. AI is killing a lot of jobs. So the only way to be able to understand what you need is study and be able to understand that.
Where should people come and find you? You've got your third life.
Yeah.
We've actually done this in sequence, haven't we?
Yeah, it's great.
It's great. It's almost like we planned it.
Yeah, my third life is, so I got this website that is called PPC Marketing IT, which is actually a book, a digital marketing book that never gets sold. So because the industry is moving so fast, like a book about marketing, expires soon, right? So what I did is I built this website that works like a book, but it's always updates because it's a website, so you can update it. You don't have to reprint it. And then the other thing is my YouTube channel that I just started. It's like a month old, and yeah, I mix my two passions. It's like wine and marketing, and it's more like it's a similar atmosphere. So it's like two colleagues after work talking about marketing, of course, professional and personal growth.
Nice. If you're looking for guests, I'll come and have a drink.
I will, man. I will.
That sounds amazing. We'll put links to all of that within the description and everything else. But thank you so much. There's tons of stuff I could keep talking to you about. I think that was super interesting. I'm sure everyone listening found that massively helpful. And thanks so much for coming down.
Thank you, guys.
See you later.